Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive?
Always ready to jump in.
Awesome. Today, we're getting into the nitty-gritty of Islamic purification rituals.
Specifically.
Specifically Ghusl, the full body washing.
Fascinating stuff.
It is, right. We're mainly using the Sahih Bukhari Hadith, Book 5, the one all about bathing.
The Echoes of Ihsan Podcast also has some really good insights on this.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was listening to that one just the other day. So we'll be pulling from that too. I think it'll add some nice context.
Great. Where do we want to start?
Well, before we even get into the how-to of Ghusl, let's talk about why.
Okay, yeah, good point.
Like, what's the whole point of it? What's janaba all about?
Okay, so janaba is this state of ritual impurity. And it happens after, sexual intercourse or a wet dream.
Right.
And it's not about being physically dirty, you
know?
know?
No, it's more than that.
Yeah, it's the spiritual state you enter.
I see.
And Ghusl is like the way back to get back to ritual purity.
Makes sense.
So then you're good to do things like pray.
So it's like a reset, a spiritual refresh button.
I like that, yeah, a reset.
Hit that reset button before connecting with the divine.
Exactly. And you know what's cool?
What's that?
The Sahih Bukhari actually tells us exactly how the Prophet Muhammad did Ghusl.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, like super detailed account.
So Muslims have a clear example to follow.
A blueprint, you could say.
That's pretty amazing to have that kind of guidance from so long ago.
Right. Okay, so you want to get into the steps now?
Yeah, let's break it down.
All right. So there are these different narrations in the Hadith describing the Prophet doing Ghusl.
Right.
And there are some little differences here and there.
I see.
But the main parts, they're always there.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So first, you wash your hands.
Makes sense. Start with the basics.
And then comes wudu.
Oh, right. Like the ablution before prayer?
Exactly. That same ritual.
So there's a link right from the start between ghusl and prayer.
You're connecting the physical cleansing
with getting ready to pray.
Right. Preparing spiritually.
It's like they go hand in hand.
Totally. So after wudu, you got to clean, the private parts.
Okay, so every part of the body is involved.
Everything gets purified, yeah.
It's interesting how, even for something so personal, there's a method.
Yeah, it's not just about hygiene.
It's deeper than that.
Right. It's like it becomes something, sacred.
Okay, what comes after that?
This part's interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
You rub your hands on the earth.
Wait, what? On the earth?
Yeah, it's symbolic.
What's the meaning behind that?
Well, lots of things, actually.
Like what?
It's about connecting with the earth.
Oh, okay.
Remembering where we come from.
Grounding yourself.
Exactly. It's like drawing purification from the earth itself.
I've heard of using dust or sand to clean in some cultures.
Oh, yeah.
Like as a natural purifier.
Right, kind of like that.
So this step ties Ghusl back to like older Arab traditions.
Yeah, before Islam.
So Islam kind of built upon what was already there.
Exactly. It's pretty cool, right? Okay, next up. You rinse your mouth and nose.
Makes sense. Inner cleansing.
Yeah, cleaning the pathways for breathing and speaking.
It's all connected.
And then you wash your face and forearms.
Again, like wudu.
Yes, reinforcing that connection.
Each step builds on the last one.
It's a journey of purification spreading outward.
And finally, the whole body.
The grand finale, water over the whole body, every part.
You gotta make sure everything is cleansed.
Right, and you wash it 3 times, according to most scholars.
3 times, wow.
Yeah, the Echoes of Ihsan Podcast actually has a whole episode on
the 3 washes.
Yeah, they talk about the different opinions on how many times you should wash.
Interesting. I'll have to check that out.
You should. It's good stuff.
But speaking of washing, didn't the Prophet emphasize using a limited amount of water?
You're totally right, even if you had a lot of hair.
So it's not just about using tons of water.
Nope. There's the story about Jabir bin Abdullah.
Oh, what did he say?
He said a sa of water should be enough. It's like an old measurement of volume.
Okay, so not too much water.
Right, even though you got to be thorough, there's this value on
saving water.
Yeah, being practical.
Which makes sense, especially in the desert, right?
Hey.
Water was precious.
Exactly. It's like spiritual ideals meeting practical needs.
There's always that balance in Islam.
Definitely. Now, something else about the order of washing.
Oh, yeah, what about it?
They always wash their feet last.
Last, huh? Why is that?
Back then, people walked around barefoot a lot.
Oh, so it's like, so you don't step on anything dirty after you're clean?
You got it. Wash the feet, then step onto a clean surface.
It's all so practical.
Right. Every detail has a reason.
This is blowing my mind. Okay, there's one thing I'm curious about.
What's that?
It said the Prophet and his wives sometimes shared water for ghusl.
Whoa. Yeah, that one.
I know, right? Kind of hard to wrap our heads around today.
Totally different ideas about personal hygiene now.
Back then, it was about closeness, I guess.
And comfort, right. It definitely shows a different way of looking at things.
I wonder what their view of water was, like if it cleanses no matter who uses it.
Interesting thought. Like, it has this inherent purifying power.
It's a glimpse into a different time and place.
For sure.
Okay, but on a personal note, what stands out to you about this whole sharing water thing?
You know, for me, it really highlights the spiritual side of Ghusl.
More than just the physical part.
Yeah, way more. It's about shared intention, this connection.
Deep respect for their relationship.
Exactly. It makes you think, right?
About how we view hygiene and intimacy today.
And how our culture influences that.
Big time.
Mm.
All right, let's move on. There's something else that caught my eye.
Oh, yeah? What else?
It mentioned the prophet using scent after Ghusl.
Ah, yeah, he put it on his head.
Right, so even in a spiritual practice, there's this element of, like, pleasant smells.
It was about honoring yourself and others.
Not just being, like, super austere.
Not at all. And there's even a story about Aisha.
Oh, I think I know this one.
She said she could still smell the scent on the prophet when he was in Hiram.
Right, so even before pilgrimage, scent was okay.
Totally fine. Even desirable, you could say.
It goes against that stereotype, you know.
Of Islam being all about denying yourself thing.
Exactly. It's about intentionality.
Mindfulness, yeah.
And then there's that story about Moses and communal bathing.
Oh, yeah, that one's a classic.
Right. It's kind of funny, but it also makes you think.
Abu Huraira narrated that one.
Yeah, it really shows how cultures clash sometimes.
Totally. The Israelites were cool with communal bathing.
But Moses wasn't.
Right, he wanted his privacy.
And they thought he was hiding something.
A physical deformity, they thought.
It's so human, you know?
Absolutely. It's like our cultural norms, they can really lead to, well...
misunderstandings.
Yeah, and funny situations.
Awkward, but funny. Okay, how does this tie back to Ghusl?
Good question. It shows that Islam is all about modesty, individual privacy.
Especially during Ghusl.
Yes. It's about setting boundaries.
Maintaining dignity.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance.
Between communal and individual.
You got it. It's like you have the group, but you also have your own space.
Wow. This has been so insightful.
Just from this one practice, we've uncovered so much.
From the steps to the history to, well...
to the heart of it all, really.
Exactly. We've barely scratched the surface.
There's so much more to explore.
Let's dive deeper.
I know, right? We've talked about the physical part, the practical stuff.
But now I want to get to the spiritual part.
Yeah, the core of it all.
Exactly. That spiritual purity that Ghusl is all about.
That's the real beauty, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's this story in the Sahih Bukhari.
Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about.
It's about Abu Huraira. He felt ashamed.
Yeah. He felt ashamed of being in a state of janaba.
Especially in front of the Prophet.
It's such a human moment.
It is. And the Prophet's response, wow.
So powerful, right?
He said, a believer never becomes impure.
That line, it just changes everything.
It really does. Like,
Yeah.
we're not tainted by natural things.
Exactly. It's not about being physically, like, dirty.
It's about the heart.
Your intentions, your relationship with God.
So even in janaba, a believer is still pure.
In the eyes of God, absolutely.
So it's not just about the ritual,
It's about the internal state.
but the outward actions are still important.
Yeah, they help align us with that inner purity.
It's like a reflection, the outside showing what's inside.
That's a great way to put it. And you know what else?
What's that?
They talk about doing wudu before sleep.
Even when you're in janaba,
Yep, even then.
like always maintaining that purity.
It's woven into everything.
Yeah, like carrying that sacredness with you.
Even into sleep, exactly. It adds a whole other layer to Ghusl.
It's not just about cleansing after something specific.
It's about cultivating purity all the time.
I wonder if it has to do with dreams.
Dreams.
Yeah, you know, in Islam, dreams can be important.
Oh, like messages from God.
Exactly.
Yep.
So maybe that's why, be pure before sleep.
To be ready to receive those messages.
It's fascinating how everything connects.
Right. And speaking of connections, there's this hadith.
Okay, tell me about it.
It's about Uthman bin Affan.
One of the companions of the Prophet.
Yeah, him. At first, he said, intercourse without ejaculation.
It didn't need a full ghusl.
Right. But then later on, she changed his mind.
So even their understanding evolved.
Totally. It wasn't just, boom, here are the rules, done.
It was a process.
A living tradition, you could say.
With interpretation and revelation. and people's experiences.
Exactly. It had to stay relevant.
Adapting to new situations.
It's so cool, right?
It really is. It shows the human side of it all.
Oh, and you know that thing we were talking about before?
About sharing water for Ghusl.
Yeah, that one. It's important to remember the context.
Like, we can't judge it by today's standards.
The Echoes of Ihsan Podcast, they talk about this.
Oh, yeah.
Back then, water was scarce.
So it wasn't always a choice.
Sometimes it was just necessary.
That makes sense. It was about survival.
It puts things in perspective.
Yeah. We gotta look deeper, beyond the surface.
Understand the reasons why.
Context is everything.
Especially with religious traditions.
It's about approaching it with humility, you know.
And a willingness to learn.
We've learned so much already.
From the details of Ghusl to the big spiritual meaning.
It's been a real journey.
And we're not done yet.
I know, right? We've uncovered so much. It's amazing.
From the practical stuff to the deep spiritual meaning.
It's like peeling back layers of an onion.
Uh-huh. Yeah, kinda.
So as we wrap up, what are your main takeaways?
Okay, big one. Ghusl is not just about washing your body.
Right. It's way more than that.
It's the spiritual practice full of symbolism.
Connecting the physical and spiritual sides.
Exactly. Every detail, every step, it all points to this holistic purification.
Body, mind, and soul all together.
You got it. And remember that thing we talked about?
About being pure, even in a state of jamaba.
Yeah, that one really stuck with me.
Me too. It's like it flips the script on purity.
Totally. It's not about outward appearances.
It's about the heart.
Your connection with God.
And that story about Moses wanting privacy.
Yeah, that was a good one.
It's a reminder, you know.
About respecting differences.
Different cultures, different comfort levels.
Even within the same faith.
Exactly. It's like unity and diversity.
That's a good way to put it. And it shows how adaptable Islam is.
Right. Fitting into different cultures, but keeping its core.
It's pretty amazing.
So, any final thoughts for our listeners? Something to ponder.
Let me see. How about this?
Good.
Think about purification rituals in other cultures, other religions.
Well, that's interesting.
Like baptism, ritual bathing, smudging.
They all have that element of cleansing.
Exactly. It's like a
They're-
universal human need to connect with something bigger.
To purify ourselves, physically and spiritually.
To get ready for those big moments in life.
It's fascinating how we all share that.
Even if the ways we do it are different.
It's like a thread that connects us all.
To something greater than ourselves.
So as we end this deep dive into Ghusl,
Keep exploring, keep learning.
there's a whole world of traditions out there.
Find those connections, those threads that bind us all.
And remember, the journey of discovery never ends.